probably my favorite game that I'm going to keep an eye on, and that is Ole Miss versus the U. Miami versus the SIP. Listen, Thursday night, all eyes are on one of the most intriguing matchups this week. Miami versus Ole Miss. Spread versus tempo. Talent versus aggression. Two programs that who are literally trying to prove they belong in the national championship conversation, right? This one has fireworks written all over it, right? This one has fireworks written all over it, right? So let's talk about it. Miami versus Ole Miss, right? It's not really about talent, to be perfectly honest with you. This is more about who folds when the game speeds up, right? You can't trust Mario, right? But then again, Ole Miss can't win without Lane, and something or someone is going to have to give in this game, right? So let's set the stage. This game is it's not just about wins, right? It's about the identity. It's about Miami is trying to reassert itself into a physical, fast NFL caliber program, while Ole Miss, they're trying to show that, listen, this is not just Lane Kiffin's offense. We win big games, not just headlines, right? And listen, they got a better record than Lane does in the playoffs, right? Ole Miss 2-0 on the Pete Golding. Since Lane has left, the two games he had been at, the LSU women's basketball game and the LSU bowl game, 0-2, right? You look into that however you may think. But, there's a lot of things that we're going to dive into here, so let's not waste any time. Miami, did they learn from that SMU game? Because this game is going to be fairly similar. A fast, simple game, a team that literally gassed Miami that first half, right? Miami put up some numbers too, but they were definitely gassed in that second half. Really neutralized that pass rush. Did they learn from that SMU game? And really, can Miami do it again, right? You think about Texas A&M. You think about Ohio State. Can they do it again and get that one win to get them back to the national championship, a place that they haven't been since the early 2000s, right? A defense that has been good against mobile quarterbacks. Can they do it again, right? Miami's success really starts with discipline and speed. This roster is built to fly around to the ball, fast, physical. A team, once they start playing with confidence, could be in trouble, right? You think about some of the key players from Miami. Carson Beck, he's really the engine to that offense, right? He really gets things going, all right, especially if he's going, right? And if he's playing championship level, veteran level, really just clean ball, which is something that he's been having to do the past couple weeks, Miami's gonna be fine. Miami's gonna be fine. If they're not playing outside of their realm, right? And if they play their style of ball, which is what they're gonna do is run the ball, they'll be fine. And speaking of running the ball, Fletcher Jr., man, Miami wants to be balanced, right? And if they can establish the run early against a rush defense that is ranked north of 50 in the FCS, it's going to slow down this Ole Miss tempo, right? It's going to keep that defense on the field, right? And once you keep that defense on the field and tired, the Ole Miss offense is really not going to be able to get into rhythm. So that's something to keep an eye on. But we all know the biggest X factor. And I'm talking about those two monsters on the edge, Nakeem Mesidor and Ruben Bain, right? We know those are the X factors in disrupting the game. But as I mentioned before, did they learn from that SMU game where they kind of got exposed and they're kind of going to be facing a similar style game, right? You think about Ole Miss. Ole Miss is kind of dealing with the Brian Kelly Notre Dame to LSU theory, right? Lane leaves Ole Miss because he doesn't feel like they can win a national championship, goes to LSU. Ironically, both coaches did it and went to LSU. Similar to what the Brian Kelly did in Notre Dame. Left Notre Dame because he didn't think that they could win a national championship to go to LSU. Now, we know how that panned out, and we know what happened with Notre Dame. Last year, went to the Natty, although they didn't win it, but Marcus Freeman proved that that's a possibility. Is Pete Golden about to do the same thing, right? Less than a month and a half of being the head coach. Is Pete Golden really about to take this Ole Miss team to the Natty, right? Now, they are a team that's dealing with distractions all week, right? Is Charlie Weiss Jr. going to coach? Are the offensive coaching staff's going to be there, right? Obviously, the portal open up, right? So it's going to be interesting to see, did those distractions come into play this game, right? Because this is a team that's clearly determined to prove that they belong, right? It feels like they kind of got that chip on their shoulder, right? But they're clearly trying to prove that they belong, and they're tired of the "it's because of Lane" thing. I know that for a fact. They're tired because of that, and nobody wants to feel bad. Like the players don't want us to feel bad for them. They just want to go play ball. So how distracted are they, right? Dealing with the whole Lane Kiffin thing, right? Because he's gonna tweet about it. Lane's gonna put his fingerprints all over Ole Miss until they're done, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how all that pans out. But Ole Miss, right, they're coming in confident. You saw the win they just had versus Georgia, right? You saw that this was a team that really proved that they were the better ball club than Georgia that game, right? And they were not afraid to really control the game because that's what they did for the most part, right? They made Georgia play their type of game. And Georgia really didn't want to get to a shootout versus Ole Miss. Now they proved that they could win that, but Georgia wants to dominate, the game, running the ball and defensively. But Ole Miss changed a lot of that for them, and you saw. So they're coming in with a lot of confidence, as we all know. Trinidad Chambliss, and I was on record saying this is my favorite quarterback, really in the Final Four. Despite the two other potential 1 and 2 draft picks in the other game. I'm a Trinidad fan. Right? I like, his moxie. I like his confidence. I like how he's able to ball out and create, and really decisive when he's throwing the ball. Right? He's getting the ball out quick. So Trinidad, he's going to have to get the ball out quick in this game. Right? He's going to have to play fast and really have that Miami defense play sideline to sideline in this game. We'll see how it pans out. I think some of his receivers. You think about Stribling, right? You think about Wallace. Sneaky matchup versus the Miami DBs that we're going to have to keep an eye on, because if Ole Miss offense is going to get going, they're going to have to neutralize that pass rush, slow that pass rush down, right? Which means the ball's going to have to come out quick, which means those guys are going to have to make plays. Whether it's 3-step, bubble screen, I don't know how long Chambliss is going to have to throw the ball deep downfield, which means that those receivers are going to have to make plays, turn 3 into 6, right? Turn 2 into 8. Right, so we'll see how all that's gonna pan out. But offensive line plays and defensive line play is going to be the key factor in this game. It's going to determine this game on both sides of the ball. I think we all know that, right? So how does Ole Miss handle that for Miami is gonna be the biggest question, right? Because Miami has the advantage on both sides, right? On both sides. So it's gonna be this game tomorrow. It's going to be so exciting to watch. I'm intrigued to watch. I may have to jump on an instant reaction, right, to kind of see, what went right, what didn't, right, and kind of see who's going to the Natty and talk about that, right? Now, one thing to point out in this game is that it's not really about stats, right? It's not really about stats. If Miami controls the line of scrimmage, Ole Miss is in trouble. It's as simple as that. Tell me I'm wrong, right? And I'll say it again. It's not about stats. If Miami controls the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, they will win the game. They might win it by 10 or more, right? Because they could play. They have the speed to play with an Ole Miss up-tempo type offense, right? But how is Ole Miss's offense going to move the ball? How is Ole Miss defense going to stop the run? Right? Because I'll tell you what, one thing we realized in that Miami-Ohio State game is Miami was great on first down, which led to manageable downs on second and third down, which led to long extended drives, right? Ole Miss has to dominate first down. They need to get Miami behind the sticks early in this game, right? So it's going to be interesting to find out. But if Miami can disrupt the timing of the Ole Miss tempo, and if Ole Miss neutralizes the rush, those are probably going to be the key factors in this game. However, this game is going to be decided with discipline and depth. Right? Miami has the athletes. Ole Miss has the rhythm. Right? Whoever wins the first quarter, in my opinion, is probably going to be the team to control the whole game. I think that's Miami. I'm picking Miami to win, and that's going up against my SEC ties as a Gators fan.